I want to share a beautiful thing that happened today. I had a friend of mine who I lost touch with about 2 years ago call out of the blue. And it was a very sweet, well, maybe bittersweet, but certainly the end result of it was super sweet, of a reconnection. It's a woman friend who's 70 years old, which is young, but she started having heart troubles before we lost touch several years ago. And then about 2 years ago had a major stroke where she lost complete use of half of her body and had to go into a care facility. And it was around that time that we lost touch. Speaking with her today was such a delight. One, because she's gotten the ability back to speak, although she can only do it for a very short amount of time. But her perspective was so beautiful and mirrors so much of what we talk about in spiritual life. She said that the first year or so was very difficult because, she couldn't move in bed even. She couldn't get dressed anymore. And this is a woman who had a very high-powered job, who was quite beautiful and who was very self-sufficient. And, a stroke happens in a second. It just, in literally 3 seconds, her life as she knew it crumbled to the ground, to being someone who couldn't do anything for herself, couldn't even button her own shirt, roll over in bed. And she said for the first year that she pushed against it, she fought it, she kept this idea, I'm going to get better, I'm going to get better. And she said that was very, very difficult, and that the mental space that she was in was tiny and very confining and very painful. She said what turned her around was acceptance. She was reading a book called Radical Surrender, I think was the name of it. Radical Acceptance, Radical Surrender. Anyway, and she found that there was no reason for her not to be what she had always thought that she was. She said, I thought I was beautiful, and I thought I was funny, and I thought I was active, and I thought that I was a nice person. And she said, none of that changed. I look down at this body and it's not my body. It's broken. It doesn't work anymore. But I have such a clear idea of not being that inside. And she said, so I just started being me again. I just started being me. And I began joking with the staff at the center here. I began getting in my electric wheelchair and getting out in the hall and talking to people and reaching out to people and making relationships with the care staff here at the facility. And she said, the more that I accept these obstacles, accept these conditions, and yet hold on to my identity of what I know myself to be. And she giggled in the most wonderful way that I had not heard her giggle in a decade. And it was so full of life and so full of hope, and not just hope, that's the wrong word utterly. It was full of life. That's enough. And I told her, I said, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to hear you, so positive and so alive in conditions that almost destroyed you. And she giggled again and she said, yeah, that's the way it is. Know who you are.